Good day, traders. Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. Thursday, April 16th. Next up on our data announcements is the U.S. unemployment claims at 8:30 New York Eastern Standard Time tonight. It's been a good week for volatility in the markets. Let's continue our analysis and looking at our daily levels as we look at the 4-hour pound Australian. We can see that yesterday that breakout through the upper 97.50, 250 pip box has continued, had a pullback and then a continuation over the last 12, 16 hours. That market has stops above the highs from last week up towards the 2000 area. And that market is currently trading in the 98.67 region. We still have a micro trend line that's intact over that longer time frame, but obviously slowing down under the lows from that breakout. We could see that area act as a potential flip zone where the market retests that 97.75, 97.50 area or continue up towards the highs from last week. When we look at our 15-minute chart, we can see the market is still respecting that micro trend line from yesterday. It broke through yesterday's high. We talked about a measured move happening above that 9,700 area, and as we thought may happen, a stop hunt back against the move, but a creeping trend continuing up, stop hunt and a creeping trend continuing back through yesterday's high. We may see a measured move possibly of that entire leg up, where we find 98.50 acts as a potential support area for a continuation respecting this micro trend line. Currently, again, we're inside of a 100 pip box between 9,900 and 9,800. A breakout continuation, if it was to happen, would obviously be a squeeze through this rising trend line up through the 9,900 area. However, if that market was to hit the highs and reverse, it could also come back towards the low of the day. As we head in towards the beginning of Europe, we can see that market is still consolidated above that 98.50 area. We could see this market continue up through 9,900. Up next, we have the pound Canadian. Again, another pair that's been gradually making new highs. We saw yesterday it retested the highs from 2 weeks ago, still respecting a micro trend line. The market broke out yesterday and continued above those highs, above the 7,600 area, currently squeezed in that upper corner. On our 15-minute chart, we can see that there is a micro trend line still intact for that rising trend, this 7,600 area, and yesterday's breakout from Tuesday's high could still be an area of support for a breakout pullback between 75.80 and 7,600 to continue that move to retest yesterday's high. Currently, it's a creeping trend down. That market has the potential to stop hunt low and continue that move up. If it was to fail, we may see a breakthrough that 7,600 area below, then a retest for a continuation of that move down. However, currently this market is showing strength and we could see that move continue through 7,700. Pound Swiss, again a pair that was steadily creeping up after the breakout consolidation. We saw that market go sideways and eventually break that rising trend line. We saw a very weak retest of that breakout and a consolidation. There are stops below the 2043 area, and currently that market is demonstrating weakness. We could see this market retest that 2000 area of support where it broke out last week, and the market may find a second wind to retest the highs in that upper portion of the 250 pip box. However, we do still have a bit of a falling micro trend line that the 4-hour chart has respected, so we could see that market break down and retest that 2000 area. On our 15-minute chart, we noticed previously that the market had started to trade sideways between that around the 2100, the 1000-2100 area. And again, as we mentioned, if we just scrunch this chart up a bit further forward, we have a bit of a double top formation that's happened, and the market weekly retested that breakdown. Now we see this market slowly rolling underneath of that breakout below the middle of that double top formation around that 2070 area. If we blow this chart up a bit more, we see that the market is currently trading underneath of the double zeros. We could find that that area acts as a bit of a resistance zone where we have yesterday's lows as the first possible target. We could see this market retest, break down, and head back down towards the 2000 area region. If this market was to find some legs, we could see a pullback above, testing yesterday's lows and then breaking back above the 2700 area for a retest of that high at 2100. Currently, market is going sideways in that 100 pip box area, and the median price is that 2050 region. So it's sort of a choppy sideways market, but we see selling above the 2100 area and buying underneath 2050. Next up is our pound yen. This market has also been in a bit of a sideways consolidation. We saw it drop down yesterday on our 4-hour charts, that 3500 area acting as a bit of an auction. The market weekly pulled up over that area before rolling underneath and then testing it. We'll just blow this chart up a little bit to get a bit more clarity. We can see this market sold off from 3,500 yesterday before pulling back up. We're in the upper portion of that 250 pip box. We have stops currently underneath 3360. And if this market fails to get above that 3,500, we could see this market roll all the way back down to test that 3,250 region. When we go to our 15-minute, when we just tighten that chart up a bit, we can see again that market is another market that's sort of been trading roughly in that 3,500, 3,400 double zero box. We're currently in the mid-range of that box. The market briefly went below that last night before pulling back above and consolidating around 50. This market may find support around 3,450 before retesting the highs of the day. Currently, this market would have to break above 3,500 to look for any sort of buying for a retest of those overall highs. If this market was to break below 3,450, we could see it head towards the low of the day and then retest yesterday's lows at that lower 3,380 area. The pound New Zealand, yesterday we saw that breakout and that continuation hitting a measured move of that 15-minute high-low rectangle. That market is squeezed up inside of that upper corner, retesting that 2.1000 area. If this market was to break through that trend line, we could see a retest and breakthrough of that high, or a complete breakthrough and a push towards either a pullback and continuation towards that 1,250 area. This is a big sideways consolidation now, so a breakthrough in this area could actually be a fast, strong move upwards. If that market was to go sideways and consolidate, we could see a retest somewhere down in that lower part of the 250 pip box. When we go to our 15-minute chart, we can see again that micro trend line is intact and still strong. We saw a breakout of Tuesday's highs. We saw that market continue and make new highs. That market is still continuing to do that. It's broken out of yesterday's high and consolidated at that 2,950 area. Again, this market could find a continuation for a measured move heading up above that 2.1000 area. If this market was to find resistance up above, we could see them retest somewhere down as far back as the 2,800 area. Currently, though, that market has not had a trend line break, so I'm expecting that we'll continue to see either some sort of sideways auction between that 100 pip box area or a complete breakthrough for a continuation of that move. If we zoom in a bit closer, we're at the end of the Asian session. That market has definitely had a possible area of support and resistance form around yesterday's high at that 950 area. Again, just looking at this from the outside, we could see a false break of a pennant flag, however you want to term that, or a break down below 950 for a retest back towards today's lows around 850. Currently, though, that market is definitely showing a fair amount of confidence holding its move in the upward direction, so we could see that market continue and break through that upper 2.1 thousand area box. Last up is our pound USD. Again, that market we saw yesterday in that running wedge formation break into that upper 250 pip box before aggressively selling off last night and then coming back in the early of the US Open. That market made a very strong reversal before coming down in a 1, 2, 3 over the last 12 hours. We are now below that 2500 pip box. So again, this 2500 area acting as a potential support or resistance area for selling in a breakdown into that lower portion of that 250, or on the 1, 2, 3 reversing and giving us a retest of that pullback high at 2575. When we go to our 15-minute chart, we can see how aggressive that sell-off was last night. We'll just zoom in a bit here. We can see that market reversed 100 pips in the US session before slowly fading and auctioning down to stop hunt traders who were long. And again, we may find support at the low of the day for a reversal. This market has made one push, two push, possibly yet one more push down to that 2450 area for possible reversal. Or we could see this market retest that 2500 area for a rollover towards yesterday's lows. Currently, though, we're inside of a 100 pip box between 550 and 450, and again that 2500 area fairly significant for either possibly a resistance area or a breakout pullback area for support to continue back to yesterday's high. If we take a look at lastly, just looking at a quote from Paul Tudor Jones, I'm looking for 5-to-1 risk reward. 5-to-1 means that I'm risking $1 to make 5. What 5-to-1 does is it allows you to have a hit ratio of 20%. I can actually be a complete imbecile. I can be wrong 80% of the time and I'm still not going to lose. That's a quote by Paul Tudor Jones, which is why I emphasize cut your losses, cut your losses, cut your losses. Make a 1-bar stop, 1 ATR stop, whatever that is for the chart that you're trading. Target asymmetrical risk reward 3, 4, 5 times your risk. That's why taking a loss can be so much easier when you're getting 4 and 5 times your losses back on one single trade. And as we've seen, there's 50 pips almost every single session, traders. Stay disciplined, stay focused, trade from the outsides, let the market confirm your thesis, and then fight for the best price and hold on to your winners and squeeze the most out of them as you can. Have a great trading day. Hopefully you got value out of today's video. If you share it, please like it, and keep getting better, traders. May the markets go with you.
Hi traders, it's Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. If you haven't done so, please head over to my website at staceyburketrading.com. I create updates on almost a daily basis, and I would love for you to receive them. Just click on the blog. If you want to enter your name and your email address, I'll send you my free audio program, the 7-Step Daily Routine for High Performance Traders. This is essential knowledge for all traders in all markets, and this is for helping traders to master the market with discipline, confidence, and a winning mindset. I appreciate all your feedback and comments. As always, traders, stay disciplined, and may the markets go with you.